Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Chris McKenna with Covenant Eyes, and I'm so happy to be here this afternoon as a part of our regular weekly series here of Facebook Live sessions where we have conversations with allies in the cause to just raise awareness and create more conversations about the issue of pornography. And today I am joined by Clay Olsen of Fight the New Drug. Clay, how you doing?
So good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So happy to be with you, and I'm guessing that a number of individuals in our audience are very familiar with your organization and what you do. You have a very effective campaign to spread your message far and wide. But for those who don't, I don't want to make that assumption. I just want to give you just a few minutes to tell a little bit about who you are and what Fight the New Drug is.
Okay. First of all, thanks for having me. Really, it's
You
an
bet.
honor, and we're big fans of Covenant Eyes and all that you do, and in solving these challenges that we face as a society. And so, Fight the New Drugs started back when I was in college. I was with a few buddies who we collectively recognized just how large of an issue pornography was on our generation, let alone generations to come. We recognized that this was an issue that was facing us like no other time in human history, and so we were curious about it. I guess that's kind of what began it all. We were just curious about, if there was any research to suggest its harm or to suggest the risks for those that consume pornography on individuals, relationships, and society. We were just curious about that, so we started to dive in to some of the research while still in school, and found what we thought was a lot of research. And since it's just so much more has come out since that time, but that led us down the path of really naively jumping into the world of saying like, hey, we can do something about this, and I'm grateful for that little naivety because it's led us to where we are today.
I have this picture in my head of other students who are cramming for exams and maybe partying, and here's this small group of college-age men who are researching the ills of pornography. I'm guessing that was a fairly small group of people who were joining you in those efforts during your years in college.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to do something. We wanted to do something with our lives that like made a dent and an impact. And this was an issue that not a lot of people wanted to talk about, as you're suggesting. Not a lot of people wanted to address this issue, and my background is I owned a creative agency at that time. I had started a film company that emerged into a marketing firm, and so I thought that I had the tools and resources at my disposal to kind of maybe make a campaign of it and like do something about it.
Sure.
And that, from that moment, Fight the New Drug was born, and our focus has been young people, teenagers and young adults, and using science, facts, and personal accounts to educate them so they could make more educated decisions on the topic. And so it's been a journey, to say the least, the last nearly 10 years.
Wow, 10 years. I was just going to ask how long it's been. It goes by so quickly. So from its very foundation, Fight the New Drug has had this focus on mobilizing young people. I think stereotypically, you sometimes run into people that think that young people just don't have that capacity, right? They're just wasting time. They're always on their phones, which is true in some cases. But why this desire to use young people, whether they be high school, college-age students, to start a movement? What do you see in them that causes you to want to really pour into that generation?
Oh, millennial generation and younger generations, they are a powerful force if harnessed. Studies have shown that that generation, the younger generations, are more motivated by social change than they are money, and and that they are more influenced by research and science than they are they trust research and science more than they do many other things.
Sure.
And so this is a generation and an audience that, if mobilized, if we can kind of capitalize on that energy and that force, they are unstoppable. And so we really have focused on that generation, not only because we wanted to catch it younger, help individuals recognize these risks before it got too late or before it led to some major issues in their life.
Sure.
But also because they are a generation that can really make a dent in the world if if they are steered in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. You know, that need to catch the issue early and earlier and earlier. Now, we're often asked the question, okay, Covenant Eyes, what's the average age that a child is first exposed to pornography? And, you know, it's a really hard question to answer because the studies are all over the place. But what I typically respond, you can tell me you agree or not, regardless of what the number is, let's just agree that it's too early, right? It doesn't matter if it's 8.2 or 11.4. We can just agree that more and more young people are being exposed to more and more depraved and horrible content at an earlier and earlier age. Is that something that you would agree with?
Oh, absolutely. It's happening. We've seen different numbers as well, but I think, again, it is so young. And the studies have shown that early exposure to that type of material can really impact arousal and sexual templates, which can really influence attitudes and perceptions around sexuality and love. And it's something that we can no longer kind of put our heads in the sand about this. We've got to address this. We've got to address it head on. And that means talking to young people about this in a way that is non-shameful or shaming, in a way that is loving and supportive and understanding, and in a way that kind of helps, educate them on the benefits and beauty of sexuality, but kind of also the counterfeits of that and how that can steer you into the negative directions in your life. So we're on the same page on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the tools that Fight the New Drug has created in order to help young people who may be struggling is Fortify, just an amazing tool that you're just adding more and more content and helpful information to, I think, every single day, it feels like. Do you want to tell our audience what Fortify is?
Yeah, so when we were doing Fight the New Drug, we were doing assemblies in schools, we were educating online, getting a lot of traction, we were growing, and all the while we would get emails and people coming up to us after presentations saying, hey, I love your message, I'm on board, I'm a fighter, but I need help.
Yeah, sure.
And we were like, oh, great. Here are a number of organizations that help individuals overcome pornography.
Sure.
A number of great and allies of ours, people that we love and support and think they do great work. Here they are, and they weren't going. And we were like, figuring out why.
Yeah.
Well, and we realized soon after that it was because they didn't have a credit card. And many of these organizations, they need to support their staff and whatnot.
Sure.
So they require funding, these therapeutic clinics and whatnot. And they also didn't have parental consent. And that was a Mount Everest that they were unwilling to climb or unable to climb. And so they were really stuck. And so as a society, we were kind of saying, hey, stay in your dark corner until it's much worse and you get a credit card and then come talk to us and we can help you out.
That's right.
And it's like, we were kind of like, no, that's not okay. We've got to do something about this.
Sure.
So my background in marketing and owning the creative agency, I had developed trainings and learning management systems for Franklin Covey and other type of leadership training organizations. So I kind of thought, hey, why don't we just create an online tool that's free for young people that they can get the help that they need? And thinking that it would be, a fairly easy, quick project. And of course, it's turned into something so much more than that. And so we created the first version of Fortify 4 years ago, and have learned so much from user feedback and industry, advancements. And so we have evolved, and we just recently launched a brand new version of Fortify. At joinfortify.com, and that platform is so much more comprehensive than the earlier versions, allowing you to kind of plug in allies and allies having their own experience with their own dashboard to see progress, allowing you to track daily patterns, allowing you to see risk factors and root contributors, allowing you to kind of track well-being over time in a variety of kind of areas. So the analytics are much more comprehensive. The content and curriculum is so much more comprehensive. The community is robust and profound, and people can engage. So it's really kind of like for individuals looking for support and help, it's a really powerful, convenient mobile and desktop tool that can go with you wherever, and you can get a lot of help you need. So we kind of throw it out there as like a tool that it's an enhancement tool for those looking for recovery. It does not replace therapy if you're involved in therapy or 12-step groups or whatnot. It is something that kind of fits in alongside those and supports you along the way in a very powerful way.
Yeah, absolutely. Because too often the message around addictive behaviors, in this case pornography, is don't do it. But then you're ignoring so many of the other factors that play into any addiction. And so one of the awesome things about Fortify is that it looks at the whole person, and it's looking at all of the factors that were before and after, so that you're looking at my life has certain aspects to it that are leading me toward, long before I ever click that image, there is a whole series of behaviors or situations or feelings or emotions that are putting me on the path to porn long before I ever decide to look at porn.
Yeah,
and that's a really neat part of it, that it helps me sort of, like you said, see that assessment. How have I been? What am I feeling? And sharing that information with somebody else so that they can help in that process. So sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I was just going to say, absolutely. A lot of times when we think of a tool to help you overcome pornography, it's going to be so much more. It's going to be a sobriety counter. It's going to be something that's just looking at, did you look at porn? Did you not? How can we stop that? But we realized, like, look, we got to back up and look at the whole person, look at the whole life, and focus on building positive patterns and behaviors, and not just looking at kind of avoiding the negative. And so it really is a holistic platform program, and we're actually about to launch, with the help of some other professionals that we were able to collaborate with, a similar product for individuals dealing with substance abuse, drug and alcohol, and then depression and anxiety. So we're kind of expanding the suite of products, all separately, kind of, they're separate brands, but expanding that for individuals dealing with a variety of behavior change issues.
That's amazing. I think you're spot on in that it's not just about stopping the behavior, but that it's about replacing that space with other positive behaviors or friendships or relationships. And I think what Fortify is doing is always pointing towards those positive steps that I need to take. Again, not just stopping the behavior, but then filling the space that was left from removing whatever bad, item from my life, whether it be pornography or the other substances you're talking about, but then pointing you towards other places. I think we experienced that recently, Clay, with an ebook that we issued back early this spring, Hobbies and Habits. We were overwhelmed with the response to it because it wasn't an ebook that was focused on, hey, stop porn. It was an ebook that said, instead of porn, do this. And when you look at all of the amazing creation and the amazing world that we live in, the relationships and different ways in which I can be spending my time, whether it's through generosity or service, nothing that porn offers compares to those things. No. And you used the word earlier, the hijacking, or sort of the lies and the deception. Porn masquerades as love. It masquerades as relationship, it masquerades as community, but then always leaves one feeling worse in each of those areas. And so I think what I love about our joint message here is that it's not just stop, it's live porn free because it's a better way of living.
A quote that I love is from Dan Millman, and he says that the secret to change is to focus all your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new.
That's right.
And so not only with fighting the new drug do we focus on fighting for real love, real connection, but with Fortify, it's about building the new you, or getting back to the old you. It's kind of fulfilling, living a fulfilling life and looking at the whole scope. So I totally agree.
That's great. You'd mentioned that one of the sort of foundations for Fortify was creating something that had low barriers to entry for young people, right? And so I love that you have created mechanisms that allow the app to continue to be awesome and excellent, but at the same time, mostly free for students. And one of the ways that you've done that is you've created this sort of donation system where individuals, be it myself, I could go to Fortify and I could donate, and it's not to fund the operations necessarily of Fight the New Drug or to pay your salary or anything like that. It's to create funding for somebody else to use it, right? So it's almost like being set aside for someone then to for their quote unquote subscription to the app. Have I described that correctly in sort of the system that you've created?
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to make sure that teens can access it for free, and then adults can access the platform and give back. For every adult subscription, we actually give back to a scholarship for teens that are looking for support and help.
Awesome.
And we have thousands upon thousands of teens that are using Fortify right now,
Okay.
thanks to the contributions of adults, other adults using the platform or other adults contributing to gifting the platform to teens.
That's an amazing cycle of help there. I'm even envisioning maybe adult men who maybe are in recovery of their own. What a great gesture to pour into the generation behind them to say, you know, I was in this, I'm getting out of this, and I want to help you also get out of this. And that's something that we can do as adults. We have more, you know, financial resources to do that. And there's going to be a link to that here in the Facebook Live for anybody who's watching that wants to contribute to the app in that way to help more and more students live porn free. That's just an amazing thing to do. So, you know, Clay, Covenant Eyes and Fight the New Drug, among many others, we're allies in this cause. I think sometimes people might look at this and go, wait a minute, why are you guys talking? Shouldn't you be competing or marketing against each other? And we just don't see it that way. One of the amazing aspects of the mission and vision that we have here at Covenant Eyes is that we know that it takes a team of individuals locked arm in arm in order to defeat this evil of pornography. And we have benefited so much by our relationship with Fight the New Drug and all of the amazing work that you're doing, going back even before the Set Free Summit, but certainly there and extending into today. And so we just greatly appreciate the work that you're doing, and I hope more and more people are able to benefit young people, right? So that fewer adults are in a position where marriages are destroyed, where their children are impacted because they were able to take steps as young people to break away from this. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Well, thank you, and we feel the same way about Covenant Eyes. We love what you guys do, not only the work you do on the filtering and providing a safe internet for individuals, but also in the work that you do outside of that. You know, a lot of people are surprised to see a tech company also contributing to the message, you know, creating ebooks and creating Facebook Lives and contributing to the movement and the messaging of it,
That's
not
right.
just providing a tool. And I love that your company has that as a priority and a focus. And yeah, we definitely see you guys as allies in this whole thing, and we support everything you guys do.
Yeah, one of the phrases that we hear Ron DeHaas, our president, say all the time is that we are in the business of culture change. If we make a profit along the way, okay, but if we're not changing culture, then we're missing the mark. And the only way to change culture is through a number of organizations like ours, arm in arm, fighting this together. And it's possible. It just feels like, I don't know if you feel it, in 2018 here, there's a number of tipping points that seem to be pointing toward hope, whether it's legislative activity at the state level, and Fight the New Drug has been such an integral part of this, or even the opportunity that I saw that you had with the Kansas City Royals. I have a friend of mine who's a huge Royals fan and bragged about your time that you spent there with the team during spring training. And so we have more and more of these opportunities in sort of mainstream culture to communicate, hey, there's a better way. And so you've been a big part of that too.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
You too.
Good, good. Well, thank you so much for watching today, and for anybody who has, you know, additional questions for us, you can post those there on Facebook. Be watching regularly for these Facebook Live sessions where we do our best to bring the most up-to-date information to those of you who care, like we do, about a different message and about changing the conversation about pornography. So again, I'm Chris McKenna from Covenant Eyes. Thank you so much, Clay, for being a part of the conversation today, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.